Money reveals things you don't want to admit. It exposes pressure points you've been ignoring. It shows you where your habits are weak. And most painfully, it reveals the cracks in your relationships, the ones you pretend aren't there. For a long time, my wife and I told ourselves we were fine. We weren't fine. We were surviving. Barely. Every month felt like a slow slide into more stress, more anxiety, and more hopelessness. This episode is the story of the moment things finally snapped. The moment we stopped pretending. The moment we made a promise that changed everything. For months, our home was filled with an unspoken tension. Not loud arguments, not dramatic blow-ups, just quiet stress. Sitting between us. We both felt it. My wife felt it emotionally. The fear, the worry, the uncertainty of not knowing if we'd make it to the end of the month. I felt it practically, looking at the bank account every morning, calculating what was left, silently panicking, but pretending I had it together. Neither of us wanted to admit we were struggling, not to each other, not out loud, not even to ourselves. So we lived in this uncomfortable, quiet pressure, the kind that squeezes you a little more each day. But silence doesn't solve anything. Silence only delays collapse. And eventually, the truth forces its way out. Stress doesn't always walk into the room and announce itself. Sometimes it shows up in the cracks. I was quicker to snap, short-tempered, always on edge. My wife was more emotional, more sensitive to the pressure, more affected by the uncertainty. We weren't fighting each other. We were fighting the financial stress that neither of us wanted to name. It leaked into daily life. A simple question like, "What should we buy for dinner?" turned into frustration. A comment like, "We need to be careful this week," felt like an accusation. We were tired. We were stretched thin. We were slowly breaking, but trying to act strong. That's the thing about money stress. It doesn't stay in your bank account. It spills into your home, your marriage, your energy, your peace. And under all of it was one shared fear. What happens when something goes wrong? And then, something did go wrong. Our son got sick. Not a small fever. Not something we could ignore. He needed a doctor. And when I checked the account, there was nothing. Not low. Not tight. Not, "We'll make a plan." Nothing. I still remember the way the number looked on the screen. A balance so small it made my chest feel tight. In that moment, all the anger at myself came rushing back. The hopelessness. The helplessness. The voice in my head saying, "You should be able to take care of your own family. Why are you still here?" And once again, I had to borrow money from my parents. I have never felt shame like that. Not because they judged me, they didn't, but because I judged me. My wife didn't blow up. She didn't attack me. She didn't make it worse. She was emotional, scared, overwhelmed. But she stood with me. That moment, needing someone else's money to help my own child, it broke something inside me. But sometimes things must break before they can be rebuilt. That night, after our son was asleep, we finally had the conversation we had avoided for months. There was no shouting, no blame, no defensiveness, just honesty. My wife opened up emotionally. How long she'd been scared. How heavy the stress felt for her. How she cried some nights because she didn't know how things would turn out. I opened up practically. How I'd been checking the account daily, hoping the numbers would magically look different. How I tried to handle it myself, thinking I was protecting her from stress, when all I was doing was creating distance. Two different emotional worlds, meeting in the same painful truth. And that's when it happened. Not a dramatic declaration, not a movie moment. A simple, quiet decision we both agreed on. Never again. Never again would we reach a point where we couldn't take care of our son. Never again would we ignore the problem until it became a crisis. Never again would we pretend things were fine when they clearly weren't. It wasn't a promise about money, it was a promise about responsibility, partnership, and the kind of parents we wanted to be. It became the turning point of our entire financial life. A promise means nothing without action. So we changed things immediately. First, we tracked every dollar together. Not just me, not just her, both of us. We opened up every expense. No hiding, no, I'll check later, no silent dread. We faced the truth as a team. 2. We cut what was quietly destroying us. Takeaways, impulse buys, convenience spending, small treats that added up faster than we realized. None of these things were evil, but they were costing us our stability. 3. We chose one goal, a simple $1,500 emergency buffer. Not because it was a magic number, but because it represented dignity. It meant no more borrowing, no more panic, no more fear when something happens. 4. We put systems in place. I set up a $100 debit order straight into a money market fund. Automatic, out of reach, untouchable. The kind of system that protects you, even from your weaker moments. 5. We agreed to communicate, honestly. No pretending. No, it will be fine. No hoping for the best without planning for the worst. For the first time, we were genuinely aligned, and that alone changed the atmosphere of our home. Something shifted after that night. The pressure in the house lifted. The fights disappeared almost immediately because the money stress wasn't hiding in the shadows anymore. We started planning instead of reacting. We started preparing instead of panicking. We started making decisions together instead of carrying stress alone. My wife felt safer, more in control, more aware of what was happening. I felt responsible, focused, clear on what needed to be done. Our marriage strengthened because we stopped fighting the stress in silence. Our finances improved because we stopped lying to ourselves. Our mindset changed because we had a shared mission. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't fast, it wasn't easy, but it was real. And slowly that single promise, never again, became the moment our entire financial life pivoted into something stronger, smarter, and more intentional. Not perfect, but united. This was the night everything changed for us. Not because our money suddenly improved, but because we did. Thanks for walking this journey with me. I'm JP, and I'll see you in the next one.